Police Commission expected to announce those names of the finalists today. Who will be the next police chief? We've been waiting quite a long time for that, and so too have the men and women who work for the chief. And with us is the head of the police union, Robert Cavaco with SHOPO. Good morning, Robert.
Morning, Gina.
Thank you so much for being with us. Yeah, thanks for getting up bright and early. So this has been a long wait, to put it mildly. Last June now, when Chief Susan Ballard retired. What are your thoughts on the process so far? Here we are in May, and it'll be almost a year before we hear this new name.
Well, we're excited, to hear the three finalists, with this long and drawn-out process. It's taken, like you said, it's going to be almost a year, June 1st. So, let's hope that it ends, better than it started. But we're definitely looking forward. We understand that the commission hired the consulting firm. So we're glad that we had some sort of input with the consulting firm on the process and what we would hope that they would ask the candidates. We're thankful that we were included in that part of the process.
Sure. Remind folks who haven't been following it piece by piece, how many serious applicants probably came in and before it got whittled down to these three that we'll hear about later.
I believe they started with about 21 applicants that applied. There were quite a few from the mainland that applied, but because the process took so long, a whole bunch of them ended up opting out. And I think some of them had found, jobs elsewhere, in the States. So, that I think maybe had let go some really good qualified candidates, possibly. So I think that's why, the next time that this happens, hopefully the police commission will have a better, process where it'll run more efficient.
Sure. It's a shame to lose people just based on a timeline alone. Now, one of those that we understand did back out of it was the interim police chief, Roddy Vanek, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. We have had quite the challenge in media here at KHON 2, trying to talk to the chief, to interview him about critical things having to do with the police department. Your observations, please, Robert, on this lack of communication from this interim chief.
Well, that's, hopefully with the next police chief, he or she can make that a priority with communicating with the media and the public. Our rank and file officers would like to see our chief of police, our leader, to be out, in front of the cameras and talking to the public, talking to the media about the department and what's going on. And just the many different things that the department deals with on a daily basis, what our officers go through on a daily basis. Some of these high profile incidents that occur in our community, we would, hope that our administration call a press conference or an interview and invite the media and go over, fact by fact on what happened, present the facts. And we understand that there is times where information cannot be released because it's under investigation. But I think the department, in that chief's process, they could do a lot better in that aspect.
Sure. And we all want answers, as I'm sure you folks do too, especially in the midst of this violent crime wave that we seem to find ourselves in on the island, shorthanded there at your various departments and your various precincts, right? What would be among your top wish list things the first time you get to sit down with whoever will be the new boss?
Main priorities that we want to, instill in the police chief that we would hope that he would instill is, one is our staffing shortage, to address that. That's number one. Right now, the department will only commit to 75% patrol staffing. We would hope that the chief would really take a look at where our officers are assigned within the entire department and then put the primary focus on patrol to get us up to 100%. Let's start the day with 100% staffing island-wide. The second thing would be equipment and uniforms for our officers. Our officers are wearing uniforms that dates back to the 80s and 90s. It's very uncomfortable. We're looking for a chief that will bring in a different uniform, something that's still professional, but more comfortable, where, you know, the seams are not splitting in your pants when you have to roll around with somebody making an arrest. Our leather gun belts, you know, that thing is from back in the 70s and 80s. Something like a nylon belt where it's lighter, a load-bearing vest where we can put our equipment on it, our radio, our taser, you know, where it takes the load off of the officers' backs and more on the chest or the front area. And those are the things that we really want the chief to address with our officers. And I believe it's also recruitment. Put a big push on recruitment because of our staffing. You know, we're down more than 300 officers. So to make the department really push to bring in our, you know, officers into our profession, and a work schedule, a good work schedule, the 312 schedule that's being piloted. We'd like the chief to try and push that forward. So it'll be a recruitment tool for people in our community, our young people, wanting to come in and to serve the community in that capacity.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for your time on that. And thanks for all you folks do out on the streets and on the front lines. Aloha.
Thank you, Gina.
Well, coming up, Chris.